Hello, welcome to the homestead. Merry Christmas. Depending on when you're watching this, Happy New Year. So, we're out here continuing the fence project. As you see, I've got to put the horizontal on this H-brace, which we're going to do. My cough always wants to do right at the beginning. Once we get that done, we got to roll out the fence. I'm actually gonna do some more prep work all the way down there. There's still some little brambles that are growing up and everything, so I fixed my trimmer. Needed a new fuel bulb and fuel lines. Just the old ones, you know, plastic breaks down after a while. Needed those replaced, so I did that this morning. Maybe I'll make a video about that in case any of you are wondering how do you do that. It's an easy thing to do. Then once that's done and that's done, then we're gonna get the fence material over here and we'll start attaching it, rolling it out. Zipporah will come help me with that. And then I've also got to pick up still from Harbor Freight another ratchet, another come along, and another strap, because if you watched the previous video I did using the stretcher on the woven or on the welded wire that I did put up for the other area over there. Anyway, another video. First time I used the stretcher that I made, the homemade stretcher bar, and I decided that I needed 2 points. I put 2 points on it. This will be so much easier when I have it, but here, I'll use that as an example. So there's a point there and a point there that I attached a chain and a triangle, a single point for the come along. So it was stretching the whole thing, but it still had a lot of wiggle this way. If I get another come along and strap, then I can put a point, I can attach here and tension these separately. And that's what I want to do with this stuff. So they're relatively cheap at Harbor Freight. It's 20 bucks for the come along and like 10 bucks for the strap. And then I'll have them and they'll be put to good use on other projects, but I want them before doing that. So I don't know if I'm going to get to that today because it's the day after Christmas and it's soggy and rainy and I don't know when the rain's actually going to come back. So I'm going to get going with this and we'll see what we do. All right. Done and then explain afterwards. You may have seen another video I did explain how I do the H braces. Obviously you've got 2 verticals go on the ground. Ideally you want them to go at least 36 inches deep. Didn't quite go that deep on this one just because I didn't. Ran into some problems and figured with the concrete in there, I'm not actually going to be tensing up this fence too badly. And I think I'll be fine. I may not. That might bite me. So we'll see. But standard is at least 36 inches, probably 48 inches if you can. If you have an auger that you can get in there nice and easy. Horizontal. I was looking this up this morning actually, and I should have spaced these at 6 feet minimum. This is about 4'6". I'm not sure what the engineering on that is, other than the way that the H-brace works. And the way that it works is you got the verticals and you got that horizontal, and then you see this diagonal piece. Well, if you know anything about engineering and structure, you know diagonals, you know triangles are stronger, and they help keep things square. And that's essentially what this is doing. You've got, once the fence is on here and stretched, all of the tension, or most of the tension, is going to be carried on this post. It's going to be the fence is going to be wanting to pull it that way. So to help counteract that on the top, we have this horizontal that goes in here, and that butts up against this one, which would just make the whole thing lean this way. So that's where our diagonal comes in. This diagonal is anchored there and tensed up so that the top of this post is being pulled to the bottom of that post. So you got all this action going this way, wanting the whole thing to tilt like this, but then you got this diagonal pulling it back down and helps to keep this strong. So you've actually now got that all the force that would be on that vertical is now distributed between both these verticals and this horizontal, tying them together. That's the physics and the mechanics of how this all works. So that gets back to how far are you supposed to space them, what type of material. You saw here, I'm just using old barbed wire, which is fine. It holds up okay. The H braces that I've got over here, and I think those are the ones I did the video on anyway, for the fencing that I did, those are holding up just fine. I'm going to repurpose those. Those are 2 years old and they haven't worn out. Now the downside to doing the diagonal the way I did, with just using that piece of rebar as a tensor and just wrapping that up, is if I do need to come back later on and tighten these up, the fencing's going to be in the way and it'll make it difficult, and I'll probably just have to remove all of that and put in wire with either a ratchet or with a I don't know what they're called, those little censure grabbers that you just pull on each side. But like I said, I've never had to tighten up those ones. Doubt I'm gonna have to tighten this one up. It's holding pretty good. So the rebar, I choose to use rebar rather than actual pins or nails for a couple reasons. One is rebar is relatively cheap still. It's a good solid material and it's not going to rot out or rust out on me, I should say. It interacts with these posts just fine, and as you can see, they work just as well. Didn't quite get these centered in the middle of the post like I would have liked to, but it's close enough. The force is still going to be squeezing up against there and it'll work just fine. So this part's done. Now I'm going to take the brush blade, the weed eater, over and clean up a little bit over there. And then I think as long as I get my new come along, we'll be ready to start trenching out fence, and if the weather holds, maybe that'll be today. It'll be in the next part of the video for you. First thing we're gonna do is get this out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get it out, we're gonna carry it over here.
What, the fence?
The fence.
Doesn't that thing weigh like 100 pounds?
Okay. I'm gonna put it here, and then I think what I'm gonna have you do, what we're gonna do, is I'm gonna sit here and hold it, and because we gotta unwind it and pull it to that end. Okay, and I think it'll be easier for you two to pull. You both aren't gonna lift that.
It's like 100 pounds. Oh wait,
My bag? I have a bag clamp right now.
I lifted it the tiniest, but I lifted it like I lifted it up by like half an inch. See, watch. Can you see that? It's a little bit. I knew it that side.
Oh, we're almost there. Ready?
No, there's
1, 2, 3.
my lamp just got
What?
What did you say?
This end, you gotta stay on this side of the T-post. So you're gonna have to go in between the tree and that T-post there, okay?
So this side. Okay. Wait, which side?
This side.
Okay.
Okay, getting back at it. I went ahead and came back out here last night after sent the girls in, got their chores done and everything, and finished taking all the barbs, stripping the ends here so that I can do the wrap around this post. Not going to really spend a lot of time. You can look at other videos on exactly what I'm doing here. I'm kind of copying other people, but the general premise here is I'm going to be putting a staple in here on this post just to hold this at the right height, and I'll probably just loosely tie these off to that post. Then I'm going to go down and finish unrolling the roll, unrolling the roll all the way down to the other end and get it all ready to stretch. And when it's ready to stretch, I'll come down and make sure this end is cinched up on this pole so that and remove that staple to make sure that it can move freely, evenly top to bottom, and stretch out properly. Now I'm gonna have to be doing the unrolling by hand because I don't have a setup. I don't have a spinning jenny or a tractor where I can unroll it like you see in other videos applications. Someday. It'd be kind of difficult in this application anyway, especially with this part here weaving in between the trees. It'd be easier from where I'm at going down, but like I said, I just don't have that setup here. So I'm going to do what I can with what I have, like we all always do. Make progress. Don't let artificial constraints get in your way. Don't think I can't do this because I don't have a tractor, or I can't do this because I don't have whatever. Part of homesteading is figuring out how you can accomplish your goals with the resources you have, and some things do have to wait. Some things you have to build to, but that doesn't mean you have to not do anything. So gonna get at this and hopefully have this fence up today. I've got the cattle panels left over from the fencing that we took down, so I should be able to close this area off. I've got the 2 spare gates that I want to use for this area, so I should be able to get those up and get some piggies over here. All right. Probably didn't have the camera set at a good angle. I ended up rolling it that way over there, and then I got over there, and as I'm stepping around, I'm feeling the ground give underneath me. Sank in pretty good. That's where the drain lines for the antiseptic system have been done. I guess it's settling. I hope that's all it is. Don't know how far I would have gone if I hadn't caught myself. Have to get over here and get some of that compacted, maybe. Drive over it a couple times, get that dirt settled a little bit more. Anyway, so I've got it rolled out now pretty far. I've got a lot of slack here. Since it angles away, pretty confident that where I've stopped, snip it and then bring it back over to the fence and have enough. So it's a balance, right, between having enough and having too much. You have too much, you waste. Don't have enough, and you've messed up that whole run. So I'm gonna snip that, bring it back over here, get it lined up, and work on stretching. And hope I don't sink through any more spots. Stretched. It's about as tight. It's about as tight as I think I'm gonna get it. You can see I went right up to the close to the edge of the ability to stretch it. So I picked a good spot to put the stretching board. It's holding up pretty good. I don't see a lot of the warping that you sometimes see with these, or at least what I've seen in other videos critical of this method. Some caveats I'll put in based off of those other videos. This is not nearly the tension that a professional fence installer would do, or a more seasoned experienced fence installer would do. I don't even, not even pretend to know how many foot-pounds of tension there is. I'm also not gonna venture to guess that it's completely evenly distributed amongst all of the horizontal lines like you would strive for in a professional install job. What I can say is this: it's tight. Once I put all of the T-post clips on, it'll cinch it up even more. And when I put the staples in the posts on each end, it will hold. Now, obviously, there's going to be some slack that comes off of this once I let the tension off a little bit. I'm going to put the staples in on this end, not completely hard, not all the way completely, because I don't want them bearing all of the pulling force. But I'm going to put them in hard enough so that if there is a little bit of slippage, it can go, but it'll tense that up. So there will be a little bit of slack that comes off. Hopefully it'll be limited to just this little bit here, and it won't be too much. But I'm going to put the clips on before I do that. And obviously I got to prep this part. I also don't have a ton of waste here. You can see. Going to probably go up to here or here with removing the barbs. So just this little section here, and this actually is going to be good because I can use that to just hand wove into the small gap that's between my current end post and my neighbor's fence, which again, we're going to be redoing that part later. Right now, that section of fence for our purposes is solid enough. So the long-term plan here is we're going to get this pig paddock in the very corner there operational, so we can get the piggies over there, and then I can get the rest of the paddocks set up so that by the time they're done on that plot, and we move them to the next one, I'll be ready to redo that whole line of fence. And that's the whole property line from that corner all the way down to that corner. That's definitely going to be the bigger project, but we want to get that done in anticipation. Well, number one, anticipation of letting Holly have more freedom to move about the whole pasture if we want to, but also the sheep when we get them, because they're coming and we need to have an area for them. Ideally, we can either have one of these new paddocks set, and so we can put the sheep in before we move the pigs in, or if I've got another area over here, we can move Holly out, and I think you know where I'm going with that. So I'm gonna get the clips on. Once I get all the T-post clips on, then I'm gonna come back here, put staples in. I'm gonna put staples in on that end, get this end prepped to wrap around this post here. Once all that's done, I'll take the tension off and this will be installed. And then I can get to setting up the rest of the paddock over there, which will probably be tomorrow, or the next day or the day after that. But my goal before I go back to work in a week is to have the pigs over here and Holly into the bigger area where the pigs have been. So she just has some more room, more graze area, and we can get on this. So I'm gonna get at it, and hopefully it'll be something interesting. Okay, I got the tension taken off, got staples on that end. I've still got to wrap these and provide extra stability and take the stretcher board off. It didn't release that much tension, mainly because I had the staples in that tree there. So they're bearing a bit of it. It'll probably loosen up, which is why this wrap for these wires here is going to be important, because as that loosens, which it will over time, these will hold it and keep that tension on this post. But we're done. This fence is back installed all the way down. Like I said, I've got this little bit of scrap here, which is going to be perfect to fill in the gap down on that end between the post and the existing fence, just temporary, until I'm ready to run the new fence along that side and tie it into that post that I set down there. But this is done. 2 years in the making since we bought this house, and tornado knocked down the trees, knocked down this fence line. Getting this restored where it can be usable again for us has been huge. So I'm gonna call this a wrap. God be with you all and all that you do, and remember, keep the faith, keep up the fight. God bless.